Do not attempt to adjust your podcast player. We are controlling the transmission. We are here to be your guide, helping you to explore local events, the art scene, music, theater, sports, and possibly a conspiracy or two. All here on the GCRX Radio and Podcast Network.
Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Happy Veterans Day to you all, everybody who has served in our armed forces and our military. Thank you. Start the show with that. That was a pretty good start, right?
I like it.
I think so. That was pretty good. Anyway, good evening. I am Brian with the Y, your favorite guy. How are y'all today? It is November 11th. It's exactly 1 week after my birthday. I hope you guys enjoyed my birthday. I'm going to ask the panel here if they got a chance to enjoy my birthday.
You didn't send any of us any cake.
No.
He called me, though.
I called you?
You called me.
No, you called me.
No, you called me.
All right, cool. Let me tell you who it is I'm talking to off camera, all right? It's Taylor, and she's joined with Curtis. They are guests tonight, and I have Nick Drago as well doing Conspiracies.
Good evening.
Good evening. And then we got Engineer Bill, as
Hola.
always. Hola. Yeah, so we're good. Yeah, we're got a full house tonight. This is great. So tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the election. We're going to talk a lot about conspiracies and
way more about conspiracy, right? Yeah.
way more about conspiracies.
The only
Yes.
reason I brought him.
Yes. We need to know where Bigfoot is,
Yeah.
or if those disposable cameras that you took pictures on were really part of a federal spying agency of some sort. I'm making this up as I go because I'm not the conspiracy guy. But
Hey, the disposable camera thing, though, that's
right? Wouldn't that be something
Wow.
like with the wheels of cheese?
it's always the cheese.
It's always the cheese. And I'll tell you this right now, the government cheese
The
still better than
government
Emo's.
Oh, stop.
Yup. Gonna go there. We're gonna go right there. I said what I said. Prove me wrong, bro. Prove me wrong.
Okay.
Anywho, how was you guys this weekend? What'd you guys do?
Busy.
What
Taylor
did I
Curtis?
do this weekend?
Mhm.
Oh, I painted. I painted a house.
Oh wow, like a mural?
No. Like what was it called? Sand something. I don't know.
So it's like a
It was like a tan.
beige
Like
color,
a tan.
Yeah.
khaki,
Yeah.
but probably sand colored.
I don't know. I had like it almost had like
Hence
a
the
hint
color
of
sand.
pink in it almost. It was nice. It was very nice.
Okay, so I worked at Home Depot for a little bit and I dabbled in their paint department.
Sand dollar.
Sand dollar.
That's
crazy.
Sherwin Williams.
Blue is used in like bright white, like a hint of blue. So, you know, I'm not putting it past you that pink sort of is part of the sand thing. I don't know. So you painted a house.
I painted a house.
Curtis?
I helped her.
That'll do it. Anything else? That was
No, not really.
all right, cool.
The weekend before that was Cody's birthday, and we did mini golf over in St. Louis. That was cool.
That's what's up at the Putt Shack.
No, we have been to the Putt Shack. The Putt Shack's really, really awesome. But we actually went to what is it called?
Darkness Escape Room.
It's the Darkness. Yeah, it's at the Darkness, but it's just what is it? Blacklight mini golf.
That's interesting.
It's really cool because it's like retro.
Oh.
So like all of the murals on the walls are like old 80s and 90s movies, and they've got Mario, and they've got like just all these really cool, awesome sculptures in there. They've got the Hulk and Superman.
That's kind of neat.
Talk about the foosball hole.
Oh yeah. So and then they have really cool like holes that like one is a foosball table, and you drop your ball in and you have to play with somebody else foosball and try to get your ball to come out the hole that goes directly into the hole instead of going over here and then having to putt it all the way
Oh.
around.
Interesting.
They have what is it, Planko? where you drop the ball.
Oh,
down.
yeah, from what's that show?
Price
Oh,
is
The Price is
Right.
Right. I
Yeah.
should know that, right?
Yeah, they
Like my
have
name?
so many cool different interactive. They have a pinball one where you drop your ball in, and just so many cool
That's
different
cool.
holes that you can play. Pac-Man was definitely the worst though. I don't understand how people get a good score on the Pac-Man hole.
So it's not like the video game where you're top down looking at.
That's exactly.
Oh,
what it is.
yeah, no.
And it's a maze. You got to get.
It's all concrete walls, so if you hit it one way and it can go that way, and it's like a big
It just
maze
bounces
to get
all
the
over
ball.
the place.
That sounds not like fun.
It's
I mean, I'm
fun.
sure it is, but for me, my brain type,
It's fun watching somebody else.
yes.
Sounds like frustration.
Putt Shack's really cool though, because I like how you can put your ball down and it automatically keeps your score through the ball. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, it was
I got to
really
get
neat.
there at some point.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to have a double date there. And then the guy who I was supposed to have the double date with, like who invited me, he ended up getting married. So, I mean, it worked out.
The guy you were dating got
No,
married?
not the guy. I was there. Oh
I
my
was
God.
gonna say something too, but
Nick, welcome back.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Oh, it was okay. Kind of uneventful. I helped my nephew move into an assisted living home. He's autistic, and
Gotcha.
yeah, so that's really it.
Oh, okay.
Didn't really do too much.
Are you sore?
No.
Oh, okay, cool. Bill?
Not a lot. We got everything finalized for Tech Doc, got it all moved over, and we were in there first day today. So
Woohoo!
yeah, I know.
Monday.
Yeah,
Tech Doc.
yeah,
Tech Doc.
yeah. It was pretty cool.
That's what's up.
you gotta do like the SNL skit of Wayne's World where they're like, "We're not paid to promote anything, but."
I had a pretty interesting weekend. Having no car, I've had a lot of time to watch The Office, and I started watching Ted Lasso. I am 3 seasons into The Office. Okay, I'm a third of the way through, and I mean it's okay.
Did you start at the beginning?
I started at the very beginning.
So is it as bad as people say it is?
It's a little dry.
Because they say it's like more like British comedy. In
It
season
is.
one.
It is. It's a little dry, but it gets going.
Okay.
So I appreciate that. I mean, Parks and Rec was supposed to be the spiritual successor to it, and it was supposed to be a direct spinoff, but it ended up not doing it. But the first season of Parks and Rec was dry as well. So I'm like, eh. But Saturday, I took part in a very, very interesting surprise party. Daryl Sullivan, he's a friend of mine from work. We're practically brothers. We're twins. Anyway, his birthday was the 5th. Yeah, short little white guy. Anyway, his birthday was the 5th. So last week, Tuesday, and his wife planned the surprise party. And I was like, man, I really don't want to travel on a bus and a train to get up to his house. But so I just shot my shot, and I said, hey, you know what? Hey man, I really got to talk to you. Could you come pick me up? I've been in my house all week, and I just need to get out of the house. And he was like, I'll be there in half an hour. I immediately went to the group text and was like, I bought y'all some time. Anybody who's running late, I got you some time. So they were grateful for the time that they got. I got them 45 minutes, got some beer, got 3 2-liters, and he didn't question the 3 2-liters. He was like, aren't you on keto? I was like, yeah.
I like soda. Shut up.
So, and he was like, okay. And I was going for more than a 6-pack of beer, and he was like, you don't need more than 6. And I was like, you're right, I don't. But okay, fine, Yingling. Anyway, so we pull up to the house, and he's driving his truck, and he goes, that looks like Kevin and Allie's car. I don't know why they'd be here. They're probably not here. It's got a very distinct like bike rack on the back.
Oh, okay.
And then he goes, that car over there kind of looks like Kaylin and Kyle, but they don't have a reason to be here. And he's backing up. He's like, what's Mariah's dad's car doing here? You know what? Her car's not here. It's probably the fact that she drove out to see them, and then she left her car there and brought his back. I don't know. Maybe that's it. So we're walking up to the front door. I dismiss all of it. Walking up to the front. He gets to the top step. He stares at me. He turns around. He goes, you. And I go, what? And he goes, I know what's going on here. And I said, what? I know what's going on here too. It's raining and you're standing here having a conversation about nothing. Get in the damn house. So he goes, I love you. you're an asshole, but I love you. And I'm like, okay. Opens the door, surprise. So many more people. It was like 20 people there waiting for him. And he was just like, he turned around, he goes, you. And I'm like, me, yeah. And it took me back to the surprise party we threw for you, Bill. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
6 years ago?
That was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I walked in, saw everybody, and just kept on the conversation like everything was okay. The thespian in me. Anyway, that wraps up the weekend. All right, cool. So let's be brief. Let's talk the election. Anybody want to weigh in?
I'm not going to be the one to start. No.
I'm
Well-
glad it's over.
Yes. Can we all agree that we're glad it's over?
Yes.
Yeah.
I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go first.
No more election phone calls.
Yes, no more election phone
Or
calls.
text messages.
I am not concerned about the president-elect. I am more concerned about his base. And I understand that there are kind of two sides to this. The Republican Party I see is kind of split, but united, but split. You've got Republicans, and then you have MAGA. And they are kind of two very different ideologies. The Republicans are more along the lines of, we need policy, we need to run the country, this is what we need to do. MAGA seems like it's a little bit more extreme. I'll even go as far as to say cult-like. And my mom, I was talking to her on the way here, she was like, don't talk about it, don't talk about it, don't talk about it. And I was like, I get why you don't want me to talk about it, Mom, but I get it. She's also watching. Hi, Mom. But yeah, I feel like the basis is split, but it's united under the fact that Donald Trump is the guy. And as of January 20th, he will be the guy. When I say I'm more concerned about the base, I'm concerned about the fact that I went for a walk in Tower Grove Park, which is a pretty benign thing to do. I went for a walk, 3.9 miles. And I made it a point just to kind of say hi to everybody. And there were single women who were running who made it very clear that they did not want to have a conversation. They were just very focused and I found out kind of like afterwards that there's the whole your body, my choice thing that's happening. And I was like, what in the hell is that all about?
Didn't take long, did it?
Did not take long. Then I also heard about the text messages that some people of color and Black people were getting.
Yep.
You're supposed to report to this cotton field, pick cotton. And I said, wow, this is kind of what I didn't want to have happen. And I feel as though because of some of the things, whether it's in jest or he's very serious about it, that Donald Trump has said, it has kind of been so inflammatory. But I got to think back to what that guy, Tony, at the Madison Square Garden event said, where he was talking about there's a giant trash heap and it's Puerto Rico. There were some people, granted, it's just jokes. The dude's doing a bit. He's a comedian. That's what he does. But there are people who really take that shit seriously. Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah, Puerto Rico is trash. And I'm like, wow, like of all the places not to do that, it's in the heart of New York City in Madison Square Garden at a Trump rally, because there are people who genuinely believe that. And it kind of just takes me back, just kind of looking through some things, bringing back stop and frisk. And as a young Black man in New York being stopped and frisked, that wasn't a whole lot of fun. Kind of makes me a little leery. Understanding that the division that kind of comes from statements like that literally are skin deep. And I'm really not for that part of it. I want Donald Trump to succeed, because if he succeeds, we all win, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to wish him to fail, because that's just like cutting off the nose to spite the face. But I'd be lying if I said I didn't have any reservations about this. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't even the slightest bit concerned or worried about this. I definitely remember being here, it was 7.5 years ago, and it took less than 24 hours for somebody to just blurt out an expletive that I had never heard before. I mean, I had, but it had never been directed towards me. And I just remember thinking, wow, like we're here. At that time, it was 2017, and this is where we are. I think I'd been in St. Louis like 25 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man.
And just to hear that, hell, I'll say it. I'll tell you exactly what the person said. And it was, I was at the Galleria and I was called a coon-ass nigger. I was like, wow, that's impressive. That's
Sorry. I grew up here in Granite City. I got called N-word lover because I liked Prince, Michael Jackson. I liked rap, and I was a break dancer in the 80s.
Was your hair longer?
Yeah, it was long and curly.
And you broke it? You did break dance?
Break it. Oh,
that's
yeah,
what's
yeah.
up.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I had the coordination for that. I would fall flat on my face.
But I was called that, and yeah, because I had black friends, you know,
and that right there is what I'm most concerned about. It's the inflammation of it all. I'm not saying that everyone who voted for Trump is a racist or everybody who voted for Trump is X. What I am saying is there are some things that have been said that have kind of just been like brushed aside. And that's kind of what the country went for. And it's like, okay, well, this is where we are. So I look forward to the next 4 years. I'm intrigued to see what happens next.
It might not be 4 years. It might be 8 years, and it might be just go on, because Vance said that he would not have certified the 2020 election, which I think is what solidified him as Trump's vice president pick. I think in 4 years, when Gavin Newsom wins the election, I don't think that Vance on that January 5th will or 6th will certify. They'll rig it up. I totally believe that. I don't know if anybody really knows this. I don't think people really pay attention anymore. I talk to people, you know, that are Trump supporters, and they really don't know about the, you know, his criminal cases. I've talked to people about. I said, did you know he tried to rig the 2020 election? Did you know he tried to rig? And they're like, well, no. I hear about, you know, Democrats stuffing ballots and this, and I'm like, a ballot box. I'm like, hold on. There is evidence that Donald Trump, there are indictments. There are 85 people that can be named. Some of them have been indicted and pled guilty already into the fake elector scheme. And one of them got his law license. Kenneth Chesebro got his law license revoked last week for rigging the election for Donald Trump. And who won the election? It's insane.
Right.
It's insane, man. And I do have reservations. It's not just his base. Yeah, his base is a bunch of insane lunatics, racist. You know, they got their heads up their asses. You know, really.
Not all of them.
We can talk about that another time. But
okay.
I am worried about what he's going to do in his whatever. In his tenure. Yeah. I am worried about Project 2025. He's already appointed. Well, Vance wrote the forward for 2025. He just appointed Tom Homan, who is part of another author of 2025. And why did he lie and say he didn't know anything about the Heritage Foundation or Project 2025? And then 2 days later, a video surfaces of him at a dinner telling people, I know you're all rich. You know, you got to pump money into this Heritage Foundation. They're going to write the playbook for another Trump administration. But then he lies about it. Why are you lying about it? Come on.
I get it. Any other thoughts?
Yeah, we can segue into conspiracy. I wasn't planning on talking about conspiracy tonight, so you guys will have to help me out with that. But we can segue into it by this. This election has not been certified.
That is true.
There's a conspiracy theory out there right now.
Go for it.
About the election, about Elon Musk's Starlink satellites, rigging, you know, stuff. There was some kind of big discrepancy between the registered voters numbers and the tabulations. Totally don't measure. There's like 15, 17 million votes unaccounted for, basically.
That's a lot.
That's
Yeah.
a lot.
And there's some states, I wrote them down. There's like 5 states. If you guys want to know, I'll read them to you. I'll go through my notebook and read them to. Oh, you want to know? Okay.
It's a conspiracy. Let's talk about it.
All right, here we go. Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Arizona, and North Carolina all voted for Democrats in like state offices, like, what did I write here? Jeez. But they all voted for Trump. Like those states, like, okay, you voted Democratic senators, but you chose Trump as president.
Well, that also happened
states?
in the 2020 election, where there were a lot of Democrats who were voted into like local, and there were a lot of like senators and House of Representatives who were voted in as Republicans, but they voted for like Democratic governors or stuff like that.
I think that's very strange this time around. I really do. I just don't see how that mindset that would elect, you know what I'm saying, that it would be split. If you know what I'm saying? Donald Trump is very extreme. Yes.
Wouldn't that kind of fit with the people that are women Republicans that want to vote for Trump for the team of people that he surrounded himself with and his plans to build the economy, but have reservations on the my body, my choice. And since the everything's been given back to the states now, they would want to vote for the Democrat for their state, but still vote for the Republican president that's vowing to fix the economy.
It's plausible. Sure. That could very well be. I just find that right now it's so divided, and that if you are you're either all Republican or all Democrat, it just seems like. And look, that's just my perspective. You bring up a good point and all that. That's my perspective. There's, let me just like go more like, blunt here with, has anybody listened to the Trump, his rallies or anything?
Yeah.
Almost every one of them.
Yeah. Like he simulated oral sex on a microphone. He's talking about things that are not true. He's lying. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. Come on, man. He's talking about kids go to school and have gender reassignment surgeries in school.
Yeah, that was a little nuts. That was a lot nuts. I'm not even going to lie about it. It was
they elected president. Okay.
I will say this.
Let's back up for a second. So that whole thing, like she was saying, the voting, I personally know somebody who's a lifelong Democrat, and he voted Democrat through the whole ballot except for the presidency, because he agrees that the country is far worse this past 4 years than it was the prior.
Mm-hmm.
And he would rather have more money in his pocket, because he this is how he believes. He says that the policies that he had helped me save money and make more money in my business. I'm a lifelong Democrat, but I think the person that's in charge right now didn't do a good job at that. And the person who's going to take over and continue is just going to still follow that same, those same policies. It's still going to hurt the American economy. He told me, I voted for Trump. I don't like the way he speaks. I don't agree with some of the things he says, but I do know hard facts that there was more money in my pocket and in my bank account when he was in, and he voted blue across everything else except for the presidency.
And that's a big problem, because people are basically voting because it's, the economy is doing fine. It's inflation that's the problem. So they're spending more on eggs. They're spending this and that. So it's like, okay, well, you're in charge, so you got to go. We're just going to vote for somebody else. You know what I mean? Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
When it comes to the economy, and I think it's really funny. There are two sides of it. You have what starts the ball rolling, what ends it, and the result. They're lag measures and lead measures. So like I've talked about it before, back when COVID hit and gas prices were stupid low. It was like, well, why are gas prices so low? Like they were paying us to basically take the gas. And it was, well, gas prices are low because supply and demand. They're pumping out all these barrels of oil. They've got all this oil, but they can't sell it. So they need to sell it. In order to sell it, they got to drop the prices. Cool.
No cars are driving.
And no cars are driving. So the demand for the supply isn't there. So now you got gas prices like $2.29 a gallon, $1.99 a gallon in some places. And it's like, wow, that's really great. Well, to kind of alleviate the pressure, I suppose, and kind of bring gas prices up to where they're supposed to be, Donald Trump writes, he signs off on an order, and it's like, look, let's stop pumping as many barrels. So let's say there are 100 million barrels that are not being pumped a day. Cool. Well, that brings the supply down to kind of meet the demand. But then when everybody's back up and driving again, is the idea to improve or increase the amount of barrels? No, not at all. So as a result, now gas prices are starting to climb and they climb and they climb. The lead measure is, signing off on this order to drop the amount of barrels that are being pumped. The lag is prices drop. The lead is not rectifying the pumping of the oil. The lag of that is that the gas prices go up. So now from a business perspective, it kind of makes sense because now gas prices are like through the roof, and it's like, oh man, you go drive it to a pump. Well, not me, I walk, but I get my car back tomorrow, guys. I get my car back tomorrow. It drives really well, I hear. That's what I hear. It's a brand new transmission.
It better drive really well.
It better. 3 years, 100,000 miles is the warranty. I'm in.
There you go.
Anyway, I digress. I pull up to a pump, and it's a picture of Joe Biden pointing, and it's like, I did that. And it's like, oh, and I'd see this a lot. And I'm like,
so I think, to be fair, what you've said is absolutely accurate. And that is kind of the way it works. If we drop the supply down, then to meet the demand, then when the demand picks up, then the supply will obviously have to ramp up before the prices will come back down. But I will say that there were measures taken, and this happens at the beginning of every presidency, right? So new president comes in, they write a bunch of executive orders, and they kill off favor, and they kill off a bunch of stuff the previous president did. Right. Like in Trump's case, we're out of the Paris Accord, and we're out of this, and we're out of that, and I'm writing all this. In Biden's case, we're back in the Paris Accord. We're not doing this. We're not doing that. Killing off all the stuff, just doing and undoing. It happens every time. It's never going to not happen. Right. It happened for years. Like, we just didn't hear about it because, people weren't on TV famously signing things and stuff as much back then. I will say that I have very closely followed oil trade because I invest in oil.
Nice.
And I will say that our homeland efforts to drill oil on our own land and be self-sufficient were put at a halt at the beginning of the Biden administration.
Yes.
On purpose. Because that's the view that they have, which is fine. It's fine. I understand. You and I have discussed this before. I 100% back the effort to go green. Because we are going to destroy our planet if we don't. 100%. I do not back the way that these folks want to do it, which is cut the throat of the existing industry and force them to go green. Because when you do that, it's just like what they say about the tariffs that Trump is going to put down on China and everybody else. Well, the customer has to eat the cost. Well, when you cut the throat of the fuel industry, it's not like these companies are going to go, oh, we're spending an extra $600 million on fuel. We'll just eat that. No, you're going to eat that when you buy your eggs and your bread and your whatever's being shipped by truck, train, or plane. You're going to eat that. So there's a balance there. Yes, supply was reduced to meet demand for the whole COVID thing. Obviously, stop producing oil. We're stockpiling it up. But when you come in and you cut the throat of the industry because your beliefs are so extreme.
Right.
Now, we're not even going to get into pipelines and stuff like that's a whole other debate. And there's a lot of ethical stuff with pipelines and a lot of stuff that needs to be dressed out. But
I think it'd be cool if we just stopped killing the people that figure out how to run our vehicles off of water.
Well, I mean, hydrogen is, I believe hydrogen is the way that we should have pushed forward, but there's more money in battery EVs, and that's clearly why companies are doing that. But I think there's a level of fairness on either side, and I hear the Project 2025 thing, and I hear the concerns from people. And listen, I watch the TikToks because my TikTok is not just clearly blindsided Republican, yay, yay, yay. I hear the concerns of other people. And I look at the things that are making these other people lose their minds. And I go, none of this happened in his previous administration, period. None of it did. And everybody wants to immediately run to abortion. And I can go back and pull up interviews. I can go back and pull up what was said, like, hey, the government doesn't need to be telling you what you can and can't do with your body. So I'm going to take it out of the government's hands and put it in the state's hands.
Oh, man.
And if you want to change that, then change who's in your state.
Which is why
Yeah,
I think
wow.
that you saw people voting for Democrat.
Doing that, giving it to the states it's millions of women are without that, could possibly be without that health care, be without, an abortion if they need one. And abortions are not just for unwanted pregnancies.
No, I agree.
Let's say
They're not just for unwanted pregnancies, but what are
Right.
the statistics on it?
It doesn't matter. It's still, I don't care if it's 10 people a year that it saves.
Do you have the statistics on it though?
No,
Do you
I don't
know
have
them?
it in front of me.
What's
You
stopping
got it?
people just from traveling to go do it? Like, why?
Money.
Money.
Yeah.
People
That
who
doesn't
don't
stop
have.
people.
So I don't agree
Really?
with the whole abortion
I
thing,
don't
and I
agree with
actually
that.
got into a very
Okay.
deep discussion about this, but you don't make good points. Not on this. Yeah, I don't.
Shelly
Man.
Penrod says hi, by the way, Nick.
Oh, thanks. Hi, Shelly. Thanks for listening.
She's a friend of mine. I don't know who she is.
Oh, she'll come in here and sit here and
Yeah,
watch the
oh, yeah.
show.
I-
She
Okay,
loves it.
cool.
I think there
Shelley.
might be a slim possibility that there's relation to her somehow on my mom's side of the family. So that's
Let me go back.
interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Let me go back to something. Want to talk about conspiracies? We're talking about the election. I'll try to segue into conspiracies.
Okay.
If Starlink satellites were indeed used to transmit data from voting machines to tabulators, which is something I read just about an hour before I came in here, there needs to be a recount.
That
Are
is
they
interesting.
saying they,
Okay.
hacked them or something?
Yes.
Okay, I never heard that.
That is
one.
interesting.
I heard about an hour before I came in here, and I'm not, so
Same.
I don't know the realities of all this. Okay.
Aren't they
Starlink
starting
satellites.
recounts
Now
on
check this
Friday?
out. In the past few days, some Starlink satellites crashed down to Earth. Okay. We all know there were 60 bomb scares to heavily Democratic precincts on election day, and none to Republican, heavily, Republican precincts. The FBI stated they all originated in Russia. Okay, there needs to be a recount.
What? Hey, aren't they supposed to start recounts on Friday?
Sure. I don't really know I don't believe it is too late. Until if they haven't certified, and they have till I think December something, I think 17th before they
I
can do that.
I think you're right.
Trump said this was really weird. Exact words. He said, "My instruction, we don't need the votes. I have so many votes." This was weeks ago. He repeated that 5 times in other ways. My instruction. Wait, what's your you were instructed that you already have the votes. Well, how's that? And Elon Musk said he got the results 4 hours before everyone else.
I heard him say something like that.
Yeah, I did too.
He
left
made
and went
a-
home. He
So-
said,
He
"For my
made an app."
calculations, I'm calling it that he already won," and he left. I don't know. Joe Rogan was talking about that on his
Yeah.
podcast with I think Theo Vaughn, and he was saying like nobody knows what happened. He said that somebody was there next to him, and he goes, "Yeah," he goes, "with my data." He said he had a
It was
app on his phone.
it was that other podcaster.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name.
yeah. I
Real
was wondering
goofy
what that
guy.
is. Theo Vaughn.
Theo.
I just
Yeah.
said that.
Oh, I didn't hear you
Yeah.
say that.
But yeah, that was interesting that he said he already knew that and called it. But that could just be like anybody else's guess. If you look at the Daily Wire, all those guys were popping off the popper saying we are going to call it now. Before
Well,
we-
sure, but he
You know,
said he had the results. He said he had the results 4 hours before we did.
Yeah.
Now, I think that should be enough. I think all of that. I think we should have a recount, but recounts cost money. Trump rigs things. He's rigged business. He's found guilty in courts for rigging business records and things like that. He tried to rig the last election as I went through and had veins popping out of my neck. He rigs things. We need to have at least a recount.
Well,
If it was in his shoes right now, he would be crying, screaming. He claimed election fraud on election night until he started winning.
He did it 4 years ago, and he did it
He
8
did
years
last
ago
week too.
Yeah.
All right.
Isn't
I guess
that
they,
like a common theme though? Because didn't Hillary Clinton?
no, she
isn't-
contested it and she conceded. He still has not
But
conceded.
didn't she claim election fraud?
Did she claim it? She conceded. She didn't just come out and say no, they cheated. No, she did not. She does not maintain that Trump stole the election.
I think that I can
she does
say
not.
this. I think that with the amount that either candidate claims election fraud or these are not accurate results, I think that we could probably all agree that we need to find a better way,
A new system
to elect our president. Not the process, just the voting. The voting. And I know that predominantly the left side has been against any kind of voter ID or any kind of identification. But what I hear resoundingly from the Republican side is that, oh, well, they bring all these illegal immigrants in and they let them vote. And, well, of course, we gave you everything on a silver platter, which, to be fair, to be 100% fair, if you go back and you look, they gave all the immigrants that came in a bunch of money and a place to stay. So why wouldn't you be like, gosh, this person's awesome? And if you were given the opportunity to vote, not saying they were, but if you were given the opportunity to vote, would you not vote for the candidate that gave you a free food card and a free place to stay and all those things? So to eliminate those kind of accusations, why is there not some sort of identification? And listen, I've heard the arguments. Not everybody has an ID. Most people have an ID. And if you don't have an ID, we can get you an ID and we can verify you are who you are so that you can legally vote for the president of the United States.
I think we need to really be watching the poll watchers and the election judges too, because
yes,
even here, I do not think that anything fishy or funny has ever or would ever happen here in Granite.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe I haven't worked around the whole area of Madison County, but I have worked a couple elections now, and I know the integrity of both the Democratic and the Republican side.
Mm-hmm.
I've made friends with both working these elections, and I've never seen anything weird pop up to me. But this year, whenever, my family went to cast their vote, there were 2 people that got asked if they were my mother that passed in 2022. And so she wasn't removed. So apparently the coroner's office is supposed to send all or maybe it was the funeral home director is supposed to send all that stuff to Madison County, and they're supposed to take their name out. I made a phone call. They were like, you got to sign something. And I'm like, we have to have something on paper basically to remove her. And I said, well, you guys have her death certificate at the county. So
it's been recorded.
Why do I need to go the extra step to write something for you to take her off of there? But for me, that was if that election judge asked, are you Donna? And somebody would have said yes. For example, myself or my sister.
Mm-hmm.
We know how to forge my mom's signature, easy. If somebody's not paying attention to that birth date, it's
and here's
just one
the thing:
of those
you don't even have to forge the signature.
Well,
listen.
From my ID don't match my signature.
You're asking volunteers, and mind you, most of these are senior volunteers, a lot of older people. Which thank you for your service for volunteering and doing this. They're not. Listen, anytime that you introduce human error, there's going to be all kinds of errors.
Yeah.
So I'm saying this for either side. I'm saying this Democratic, Republican, doesn't matter. For the fairness of an election, why would you let something so important be riddled with holes?
Right.
But these little things like that happening, I'm sure that happens here and there, and maybe someone voted for, with some their, a past relative or something like that. But does that happen enough to sway an election?
Yeah,
I don't-
Well, no,
millions
that
of
I was
votes.
just giving a small local
Yeah, yeah.
example of why we wouldn't have an ID because,
Okay, I'm liberal AF, and I believe we should have a voter
Yeah,
ID.
Yeah,
I
just
agree.
so we're not
just-
arguing about that, right?
well,
No.
yeah, it just,
Well, and I
just
think-
makes sense.
I think that the voting systems should be very, very strict, tight, because let me tell you how I've been to different voting locations and I've seen different systems in different locations. Like,
Yeah, that sucks.
like, it's one thing when, you're Southwest Airlines and somebody wants to make fun of you because your Boeing 737s are still being updated with a floppy disk. And I can explain that and the logic behind it. People are like, oh, why a floppy disk? Well, because it costs, $43 million per plane to update it to something that has a flash drive interface. Plus, it has to be tested. Do you want to be flying on a plane that has broken avionics because Jim Bob did a cutthroat flash drive install on the plane? No, I'll stick with the floppy. So what I'm saying is that, like, listen, we need to ensure that whatever voting systems are used are from a company that can be trusted, that can have ties back to either party, can't have ties back to lobbyists,
Which is dang near impossible.
which is almost impossible, but it needs to happen. And the transmission of the data from these machines needs to be secured into one singular server, also controlled by a third party. Because I'm really interested in what Nick was talking about with the Starlink thing.
Yeah.
Because literally, like, and listen, I am not liberal. I am conservative. But if these were transmitted over the Starlink network and there is a possibility that something was manipulated along the way, then that's bullshit. It absolutely is. And
We'll
listen, again, I'm conservative and I believe in the work that Donald Trump is going to do. But if the votes were manipulated via some kind of system, then yeah, it is. It's
So
done.
how
See,
hard
and-
would it be to hack one of those? There's so many good hackers in this world that
Well-
can do so
well,
many
it's-
crazy things. Like that Starlink thing, they could
Mhm.
hack all
Oh, yeah.
they could have.
Right.
I'm
And then
sure there are
some
those.
of them just crashed down to Earth and were destroyed.
I'm sure
It's
that
in-
happens a lot. Satellites.
Yeah,
down to Earth
but
maybe,
every
but
day.
I mean, it's
Interesting
an
this
interesting
week.
thing. It is an interesting
What
thing.
I think too is, Brian, you were talking earlier about the difference between Republicans and MAGA, and what I would consider myself, I don't know. I don't know where for me personally, I feel like there are super extremes on
Yeah,
both sides.
agreed.
And for like me or Bill or Curtis to sit here and say like, hey, this is where we stand. We like Trump. We voted, whatever. But to also be able to say like, hey, if either side, our side included, were to rig the election, we would not back that.
No.
Like we can
Republicans.
see that. We can understand that. Like it's not, it doesn't always have to be cutthroat. And I've seen a lot. Like you said, you've experienced some things just within the last week. I haven't personally been out of my house other than to paint a house, but I've been seeing the stuff back and forth on the internet, and I'm just like, what the heck's going on, man? Like,
So divided.
it is really, and you as a man, like I'm more, I see all the left side, they're worried about, women's rights and stuff, but I'm more worried about you as a man, not as a black man, just as a man, because of some of the things that these leftists are saying now about wanting to physically harm just men in general. Now, I think it was more attack on white men,
Yeah.
which it didn't make sense to me because like you're in a imaginary land if you think that there aren't black and Latino and Asian men that did not vote for Trump. My whole feed is full of them. But the point is like now, they're making threats. They're trying to come up with ways to poison men. They're saying that if they are walking down the street alone at night and they encounter a man, they're just going to shoot. Like
just a man, any regular man. Who said this?
just the
The
far
extremists.
extreme left.
Is
The
saying that they're
extremists.
just going to start shooting men.
Yeah, there've been TikToks. They were
It's
TikToks.
TikToks.
Yeah.
No, it just
Oh, I saw a TikTok. Yeah.
there are extremes on both sides is the point that I'm trying to make.
Mhm.
And whenever you can come to the middle and come to an agreement like we can here, where it's like, yeah, we like Trump, we voted for Trump, but if we have proof that Trump actually meddled in or
Yeah, I
Elon
gotcha.
or whatever, like, yeah, we're of course we're not going to back that.
Well,
You
now
know,
I'll go as far
We
to
want fair elections.
like I said before the show. I don't even like Trump. I don't like him as a person. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his comments. I don't like how he sent out mean tweets, how he says inappropriate things. But I could say the same thing back in the day with Bill Clinton and the stuff that we know that he did that was proven.
What did he say to people? He didn't.
But
talk
they
to
didn't
people
have
like
the-
they were garbage.
They didn't have the voice.
They didn't have social
God.
media as much.
They
as
didn't
do
have the
today.
voice. See, and that's
come
the
on,
problem. No, and I'm serious. You have to take that into consideration because, like, listen, I don't like it either, but social media wasn't. Bill Clinton couldn't just get up at 2:00 in the morning and be like, "Oh well, you guys."
Trump
suck,"
speaks
you
like
know?
crap at his rallies about people. It's not just social media. He just stands up there and talks to people like they're garbage. It's
Well,
ridiculous.
Unfortunately, both
Bill Clinton
candidates
has never
talk
done
crap.
that. Dude, nobody, you cannot even touch the level that Trump has gone, the trash talking level that Trump has gone to. My God. I don't think they really cover it on right-wing media and TikTok, I guess. I don't know.
I want to talk about that though.
I mean, I watch his
Yeah.
rallies and I don't really know what you're talking about.
Okay, we're gonna get back to that through this that I'm talking about.
Okay, can I send you guys some examples or
Yes,
something?
absolutely.
Where can I send them, please?
Do you want to? Can
All
we
right.
send them to in the Metro page?
Are they going to be full video clips or are they going to be?
Edited.
We'll see what we could. Yeah, we'll see what they are.
Yeah,
We'll see
'cause
what they are.
I mean, if it's the full hour, 2
Let's
hour
see, what
long
did he
speech,
say?
like
What did he say?
I would be more than happy to sit down and watch it.
Okay.
But I don't want to watch something that's been picked and torn apart.
Right,
So
because
you don't-
what I've seen happen is, and it
Because
happens both
It
sides.
does,
Oh,
and I
100%.
call
Where
that out
they'll
too.
clip out just the sound bite, and now that's
He's
news.
not talking. He didn't
But
say
it's
get
not-
your fat ass up off the
I-
couch and vote. He
I-
didn't say that. That's all edited. We put
No,
that
no.
yeah.
He definitely said, "Tell your husband get his fat ass up off the couch."
He
And I
didn't
was
call what's her name, a fat pig, a gross fat pig.
I
A few years
am
ago, he
very
did not. Hold on here now. He did not mock a disabled reporter,
Right.
journalist.
right.
I do
That-
remember that.
Yeah, that one. Remember that?
Mhm.
Yeah, no, Bill Clinton did not do that. Kamala Harris did not do that. Biden did not do that.
I'm very
No, but
adamant
Biden
about
did-
making sure that I call out both
But-
sides whenever I see that, though.
But
and
Biden
there's
did call people
plenty
Trump
of-
supporters garbage. Complete garbage.
Biden lost. There's a reason why he stepped out. He lost his mind.
He
He'd
didn't
like to
step
slap
out.
him
He
on
got
the ass.
shoved out.
Yeah.
He
He
did
got-
not
he
step
got
out.
shoved
So
out.
so I
There
kind
was
of
no.
Oh
No.
my
I do
God.
want to talk about how we get our information.
Yeah.
It is bad.
It is
Uh-huh.
real interesting because it's no longer just like MSNBC versus Fox News. That's not it at all. What was considered credible news before in the past has been called fake news, whether it's CNN, the New York Times, anything
I
that
think
was
it's
at one
all
point
fake news.
was
All of it.
centrist.
I would include Fox in that too.
Yeah,
I do
At
include
one
Fox
point,
in that.
that was
All
it.
of it.
And it broke down to, if you were looking at right-wing media, it was like Fox News and their affiliates, and left-wing news was like
Mhm.
the NBC and their affiliates. And then supposed to be down the middle, you had like CNN, which didn't choose a side. That's what it was supposed to be. That's how it
I
was
would-
for a long time.
I would like to say that watching the CNN election coverage, because I had Fox and CNN both going on, they were very, very courteous in what they had to say. Because obviously they were supporting Harris, most of this is her path towards the presidency. And when it started to look like it wasn't going to happen, they didn't lose their shit.
Right.
No,
And
this was a complete opposite
they were very
of
ethical about it.
2016. Like they didn't. Everybody spoke really kindly.
Yes.
Everybody was really fair. Like you could tell that they were supporting Harris, which was fine. But like nobody freaked out.
No.
Everyone stayed calm. It was.
At the Trump
Simple.
viewing party, he had CNN on the big screen. He
Yeah.
was watching it.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
was.
But in addition to now what was right-wing media is like Fox News, there's now what's it called, Newsmax. You've got different podcasts, and that's kind of what I'm seeing really kind of sway the election, like where liberals and left-wing Democrats were more towards let's go MSNBC and CNN. There were so many more third-party news sites kind of on the right wing, whether it was the Joe Rogan Experience that he was on that podcast, or like Newsmax or anything along those lines. Like people were getting their news from different places. Like I'll be honest with you, I can't remember the last time I sat down and watched CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. But I can tell you, I have found out things that were happening in New York City from like TikTok. Okay.
Well,
like when it rained so bad, it flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah. And people were still going into the
even-
train
half
station.
the
Be
time I
careful
watched
about
it.
where you get your
Right.
information. I mean, really, man, we can't just say if we don't like something, you know, oh, it's fake news, and then cite, oh, wait a minute, you know where they said that? You know, how many people said that about the CDC? Like just, oh yeah, you know, just trash the CDC. But then when they wanted to make a point, you know, that masks weren't effective or something, they'd say, oh, the CDC said this. Oh, well, didn't they tell you, you know?
Yeah.
You know, so let's just a lot of cherry picking.
I think, unfortunately, what you have to do now is if you have a favorite news source, that's fine. But when you hear something that you're going to get upset about or that you're going to share with other people, then you need to do research on that. And unfortunately, we're to that point where like listen, what was it that Vance said recently that they were all up in arms about? What?
Go ahead.
Oh, they were all up in arms about him saying something recently, and I can't remember what it was. But if you go back and listen to the entirety of it, because I was concerned about it too, you go back and listen to the entirety of it, was completely taken out of context, 1,000% taken.
It
happens. It happens.
And but both sides will do that and be like, oh well, listen to what your candidate said, and then the problem with that is now I'm this person who's sitting back and my information on who I'm going to vote for is stained by whatever news source, be it liberal or conservative, having this one little soundbite that they changed into, but that candidate said blah 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 blah, and I'm like, well,
the news, every single news media outlet was reporting that Trump said that they should put, was it Kamala? Is it Kamala or Kamala?
Kamala.
Kamala
is the professional wrestler who died 4 years ago.
If you look at the spelling. Anyway,
yeah.
Kamala. Anyway.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure I said that right.
Understood.
So he said like put her, you know, up front, like in a war or something, and give her a gun. And every single news media outlet was like, he said it was Liz Cheney. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, Liz Cheney.
But they could, the point is the media was like, he said that we should shoot and kill her. And
no, they said that they I mean, I don't know what you heard. I heard him quote exactly, or I heard the news quote exactly what he said. Yeah, we'll put her in front of 9 guns firing at
he was talking about
face.
Sending people to war, and he was like,
yeah,
let's put her in the front lines of the
he
war.
says things. He knows what he's doing.
Well,
there are 40 people
so
in
does
Trump's
the media,
own
whenever they cut and say things.
Trump's own cabinet that did not, including his vice president, that did not endorse him. His own team doesn't want him to be president, guys.
What, right now?
Yeah.
No, not now. I mean, his 20, his, you know,
his previous administration. Was the
40
vice president
people out of 44 of his cabinet members have not endorsed him, even his vice president.
How did he pick his cabinet? It was whenever
he talks
got in,
about
they're
that.
like, hey, you should pick this guy, you should pick this guy. So he's like, okay, I'll pick him, and he don't know what he was doing.
He talked about that.
He
talked about that on Joe Rogan.
He
He said that he went in and, you know, this was his first time governing and he didn't know what to do. And he had all these lobbyists coming at him, which he's not the only one that spoke about this either. There's been plenty of politicians that have talked about whenever you get into office, on day one, you think that you're going to go to work and you're going to start doing all these great positive things. And then these lobbyists come at you. And it's a matter of, you know, you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. These are the interests that we're interested in. And you need to appoint this person and this person and this person. And they're all paid by these people and they're paid by these people. And it's just, you don't get to go in and just do what you want. You immediately go in and it is a money trail. And Trump went in not knowing who to appoint to where. So he listened to the adversaries that were already in there that were like, hey, I know this person has background in this person's going to be great for this cabinet. And he listened to them and he appointed them. But later on down the road, he explains, like, I realize now that was a bad person to put in that cabinet. Like, that wasn't a good person. You know, he didn't do a good job, or they didn't, you know, do what they said they were going to do, blah, blah, blah. And this time going in, that's why he has picked people that are not lobbyists that are going to go in and help him find other people. And I think I did you ever find out about that website that I sent you?
I haven't looked into legitimacy.
It was really interesting. There's a website floating around, and it's a .org website, but I can't tell if, like, you think you want to think a .org website's legit, but you just don't know anymore.
It could very well not. I could go buy a .org address tomorrow.
Yeah,
you know?
But it's basically a website that looks like it was created by Bobby's team or group of people to try to they want to appoint 4,000 people, and they want public opinion on it. So it's like basically a website where you can go on there and you can say, like, I suggest, or I think that you should appoint this person. And it's different cabinets, different sections of the government. Like, you know, I want this person to help handle healthcare. I want this person to help handle agriculture. And it goes all the way down the list. And you can basically get on there and, you know, suggest as an American citizen who you think would be right to appoint into this office. And I thought that was really interesting, but I don't know how legit that is. If it is legit, that's really cool, because I do think that people should have more of a voice in that, instead of just getting into Washington and being like, I'm going to, you know, I know that's why we pick these people to go into office, is because we are supposed to be having the trust that they're going to appoint the right people.
Right.
But again, with the lobbyists and with, you know, all the different interests in there, like, you just don't know what you're going to get.
That's the inherent problem, is the allowance of lobbyists to continue to push people, because regardless of the side that you're for, you all know that companies like former Monsanto are sending big bucks up there to get what they want pushed through.
Mm-hmm.
And that's with a Democrat or Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Like, hey, let me come scratch your back and drop some money in your pocket so that when you vote for this bill, you vote the way that it's favorable for Monsanto.
But I'm going to really scratch your back.
I'm going to really scratch your back.
Really
I'm going to give you this money and this cruise and all this stuff. I mean, come on. The companies have political action campaigns.
That was another thing that I was just talking about the other day. And again, I haven't had time to sit down and actually research whether or not it was factual, but it was something along the lines of a list of people. I think there was like 5 or 6 of them that were in the FDA that now hold very high positions on whatever they were overseeing while they were in the FDA. So like, this guy was overseeing Pfizer, and now he has a really high position in Pfizer. This one was seeing Johnson & Johnson. Like, there's just the different companies that, you know, they were in charge of the checks and balances of, and now it's like,
well, I mean, the entirety of
companies.
It shouldn't be surprising to anybody. The entirety of the world is a good old boys club.
Yes.
It is.
We don't have access
right
to.
From high school to college to political stuff to any company you work for. If I go and I spend more time schmoozing my boss and his boss, I'm going to get a better position over the guy that doesn't go to the office parties, over the guy that doesn't hang out and go play the golf game. It's just the way it works. And in our government, it should not be.
Yeah. What time is it? How much time we got?
We got 2 minutes, and I kind of want to end.
So much for conspiracy.
I know, right?
We got the Starlink. All right, so
I want to look into that.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. So I've been thinking about this for almost a week, and I really want to say this to everybody out there. First and foremost, thank you guys for being here tonight. This was a really good conversation, I feel. It didn't get to fisticuffs, so that's good. I didn't want that to happen, but I did want to have a conversation about what it was that has happened, what is happening, what we're expecting, and all that. So thank you guys for being here. For those of you out there who are watching, I know some of you got the election results that you wanted, and some of you did not. Remember, at the end of the day, we're all here. Your neighbors are still your neighbors. Your friends are still your friends, possibly. Maybe you've gone the route of, well, you voted differently from me and we can't be friends anymore. And if that's how you genuinely feel, that's fine. I'm not here to invalidate your feelings or tell you how it is that you should feel. But what I am saying is unity is something that is necessary. Please be peaceful. Please treat people with respect. If you are one of these a-holes out there who's sending that text message to people saying, hey, report to this cotton field because, your work starts at 7 a.m. on this day, stop. Don't be a dick. Nobody likes a dick. If you're one of those people who's out there saying your body, my choice, stop. Don't be a dick. Nobody likes a dick. All right. It's really just that simple. Be kind to your fellow human being. Be respectful to your fellow human being. Let's do this together. You're awesome. You're amazing. You're fantastic. I'll see you next week. Take care.